Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Community Connections. Hope you had a blessed Thanksgiving weekend with all those that you love. Hey, let's do a quick check-in with the Rob Meister. Rob, you back there, buddy?
Yes, sir, I am. How are you this
All
morning?
right. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. I ate a lot of food.
I think we probably all did. Hey, a quick question. Who did you miss the most over the holiday weekend, me or Claudia?
Is it bad if I say I didn't think of either one of you?
I think that was probably the smart answer right there. Good job. Good job.
Way to pretend like you have life balance, Rob.
Actually, over the holiday weekend, I missed my granny because she passed away a couple of years ago now. I really found myself missing my granny.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, way to turn the joviality into something sad, Rob.
Yeah, so set us back up, Claudia, for an introduction to our guest. I think it's a pretty appropriate conversation right after holiday, because we were reminded there are a lot of families out there who maybe had a hard time at Thanksgiving, putting a Thanksgiving meal together or having the family all together. I mean, there's just a lot of hurt out there in the community right now. There's a lot of folks doing some cool things, and we get to share that with everybody here on Community Connection. So tell us who's with us today.
All right, so Faith, it's towels, right? I was going to... Towels.
Oh.
I was going to ask before, and I forgot. And see, I knew I was going to mess it up. I picked one, and I picked the wrong one. So Faith Tolles, and she's involved with Freedom 424, and also with something new and cool. We like new and cool things here, right?
We do.
Called Mission Thrift. And so we'd like to start just hearing a little bit more about you and kind of your personal why as to why you'd be involved in a nonprofit. And then you can start by telling us about Freedom 424. We'd like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be here and share what great things are happening in the community and how what things we're doing to try to make our community an even greater place to be. So thank you for inviting me here. So yeah, my why, I came on staff with Freedom 424 almost 5 years ago. And several years before that, I think it was about 2013, our family had the opportunity to host a survivor of human trafficking and her son in our home. And obviously that didn't just happen. There was a lot of divine calling and direction and just doors that God opened for us. And we always wanted to use our home for whatever God had in store for us. And of course, we never imagined that that would be an opportunity. And we found ourselves, inviting her and her son in. And it was a beautiful time, but it was really hard because of the things that she had experienced and walked through and was continuing, of course, to heal from. She'd been out of the life several years, but of course was continuing to heal from things. And so they lived with us for about 6 months. And when that time ended, you kind of come out of that like, okay, I got to kind of recover. Not because anything was wrong with her, but just because, you just experience a lot, and that you see someone's pain so, and I'll probably get really emotional, but you see someone's pain so up close and personal and their trauma, and how it impacts your own family and things like that. And so knowing that what she went through in her trafficking life and still healing from that, I knew that I had to live my life differently, and I didn't know what that looked like. Like I needed to fight that fight, whether it was not necessarily for her, but for the millions of people that are impacted by exploitation in our country and around the world. And so I just kind of started, searching what can I do? And personally was in that season with, life and raising kids and kind of being able to have some more freedom and where our children were in their lives. So just kind of started surrendering and searching and getting involved with different organizations. And so eventually came on the board with Freedom 424 and was on the board for about a year, learned of a staff position. This is the very high level, trying to be brief, but so I, came on staff and have been on staff, like I said, for about 5 years and have held a few different roles, from the director of programs and running their Run for Their Lives races. We have a few in the country to, also, launching our prevention program where we want to prevent students from ever being exploited in the first place and doing some parent workshops. And so, that's kind of been my role with Freedom 424 to date.
So I want to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's the best way to be introduced to a nonprofit is you start, right, just by getting personally involved, and then you get further and further in it. That just tells you that she really has the why, right?
Right.
It means something to her.
So I already know the answer to this question because we talked about it before. But before I talked and found this out, my assumption was that 424 was some Bible verse.
Right.
That it was in there somewhere, that some chapter and verse for freedom that started the name of Freedom 424. So tell us where the name came from.
Yeah, I love telling the story of our name because many people don't know. And it can be, whatever does that mean. So in 2008, our founder, Christine, she was, 19, 20 years old, and she had gone to Thailand, worked with the ministry. She had not, founded the organization yet, but going there kind of prompted it. And she, saw sexual exploitation just in masses in Thailand. She lived there for a summer and worked with an incredible ministry there. And of course, came back to the States with, I can't see all that, experience all that, see what our partner's seeing what this ministry is trying to do and not help in some way. And so God just started doing incredible things in her life and then within the community. And so she found that for $24, someone was being purchased for sex in Thailand. And so instead of that $24 being used for harm, for darkness, for evil, what if $24 could be used for light and beautiful things? And what if it could bring freedom? Hence our name, Freedom 424. And so $24 T-shirts were started to be sold. We did the first run for their lives, $24 race registration. So that dollar amount was being used to raise funds for that ministry that she worked with initially, Beginnings Foundation, which is still one of our partners to this day. So that's kind of how it was formed. And we still do our run for their lives. Our race registration is $24 still, which is like
today.
a steal.
Yeah.
I think we need to up it
Yes,
because
we probably
$24 is like $5 now. But so yeah, that kind of is how our name came into formation.
And I think you touched on this a little bit, but if you had to summarize, what does Freedom 424 do? Go back over that real quick.
Yeah, so our mission is we seek to prevent and end sexual exploitation and human trafficking, and we do that by awareness. We do that by prevention education, and then by expanding the work of our restoration partners that we have both in the States and then internationally as well.
Wonderful work.
So we're going to talk about a lot today, but if I was really passionate about sex trafficking or human trafficking and I wanted to get involved, what are some ways that I can get involved with Freedom 424?
Yeah. Well, there are a variety of ways. Obviously, we have events throughout the year, and so people can volunteer for those, much like myself or other nonprofits, just start volunteering for an organization. A lot of especially young adults are really passionate about human trafficking. And so just come alongside those organizations, volunteer, share, simply sharing like the messaging. We do a lot of educational tips and things like that online. A lot of times people don't know how much exploitation, they may think of human trafficking as overseas, but there's so much exploitation that's happening with our kids and, so much relational dynamics that are going on. So getting involved with us through volunteering, sharing, our posts and our different educational things, asking us to come and share and train your, even your employees. Like there's so many different avenues where we can come in and share how to better equip your employees on what are the, it used to be just the signs and red flags of human trafficking, but I think we're almost, hopefully turning the page, and it's really how can we equip people to know those signs in relationships, how people are doing relationships, how, what things are happening in those dynamics. Yeah. And so coming in and letting us train, employees or just educating people about human trafficking in the different avenues that people are involved in. So that's a huge way that we do our mission. So reaching out to us to let us come in and educate and train your people, your community is huge. So
I think we need to get her signed up for that, get them signed up for that for Patrick Henry.
Okay.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah. And we did have a panel at the gathering I don't even know how long ago it was now.
Yeah.
But I learned a ton just in regards to this new generation of grandkids that I have. Mm-hmm. And my 7-year-old grandson, he was 7 at the time, was playing a game that apparently people use that game to connect with 7-year-olds. Mm-hmm. and try to find ones that are upset with their parents or whatever, and then convince them, hey, can you meet me at the mall?
Yeah.
And they're targeting kids at that kind of stuff. I think that education piece, just in protecting our own kids and grandkids from the possibility of that, is something that you guys can teach.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Well, we all have that basic need and that desire. We want to be loved and affirmed and accepted, right? And so especially if we've been through different things in our lives, like that need may even be more vulnerable, right? And so especially kids, young adults, I mean, everyone's connected online. And so that's a big way now that, people are reaching out to kids, the most vulnerable, and connecting with them online. And then, a lot of times exploiting them that way. So there's so much that we can learn, and there's so much that we can change as parents, as caregivers, things we can put into place to really protect our kids, educate our kids, and so that exploitation is not a part of their story.
Well, we've even heard stories of traffickers recruiting right from the parking lot of social services as the kids are aging out of foster care, right?
Yeah,
Because of the vulnerability.
absolutely. Yeah.
Somebody shows up with some attention, some love, just so easy for them to step into that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we all have that vulnerability of wanting to be loved and affirmed and accepted. And so if our relationships in our life, whether it's, parental or romantic or what have you, have been a little, there's been a lot of hurt there and a lot of messaging in our mind, obviously like trauma works. It's very, can be very painful and just have a lot of, brain scarring. And so then we're making those decisions for relationships out of that place. And that can be super dangerous. And so if we can equip caregivers and people, that are giving wraparound services of how to really equip our students, our young adults, about relationships and just, obviously what their value is, So we're all part of that. Like, and Freedom 424, like we're championing that, but if we can, educate people, then those ripple effects then go out into the community, and then we ultimately have a safer community, which we're all about.
Well, it's a disturbing topic even to think about, but we have to force ourselves to do it. And I've been doing some reading recently that shows the connection between children who suffered sexual abuse in childhood end up often in relationships with narcissistic spouses.
Yeah.
There's just something about that that just draws them in and traps them in a relationship. So really, really important work you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And you guys are, obviously the services that you guys have here are, journeying with people that are recovering from things like that and want to be, better equipped to heal and have those healthy relationships. So
I think it's interesting as we've been, doing Vision 30 to think, well, what in the world does Freedom 424 that's been working with women in Thailand have to do with Vision 30?
Yeah.
And yet when you listen to the story, it ties it in perfectly, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's protecting kids that are currently vulnerable. It's taking care of women who've been through that experience so that the next generation is healthier. And there's tie-ins. And a lot of our community partners have a tiny piece of this big vision, right? How do we make foster care obsolete? Well, we do these little things different ways with the missions that each of you have. And so we're going to talk about one of our ministries, a real brief commercial about Hope for Tomorrow, which works with people who need that counseling. And then we're going to come back to hear about something new and cool in the community.
All right, let's see that commercial, guys.
Hope for Tomorrow is a great opportunity for people to get the help that they're needing.
We're passionate about making sure that every person has a meaningful relationship that can guide them.
I think that was your voice at the end of that commercial.
It shocked me the last time I played it. I was like, whoa, that's weird.
You don't remember that, did you?
No, it's a long time ago, but it's a good commercial. So we're going to shift a little bit and talk about, there's another Vision 30 partner called Sports Outreach. And so Sports Outreach and Freedom 424 are partnering to do something new. So we want to hear Whose idea was it? How did it happen? What's its purpose? What's it called? And all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, Freedom 424 and Sports Outreach are already partners for for their project in Uganda, and one of their projects specifically is called Christine's House. That's beautifully named after our founder. And so, the project there houses girls for about 9 or 10 months, girls that are 11 to 17 that have been exploited there in Uganda. And so we help with the operating costs of that project. So we're already naturally partners and have had that relationship for years. And so several years ago, I think what I've heard is about 4 or 5 years ago, Sal, who is the CEO of Sports Outreach, and he also is Freedom 424's part-time CFO. So he kind of, of course, speaks into some of our organization and then is leading Sports Outreach. He, we're nonprofit work. Neither organization receives any kind of state or federal funding. It's all through the private, private donations that we have. So how can we bring greater sustainability to the ministries that God's called us to, and how we want to do more? We want to make greater impact for our community and for our world ultimately. And so Sal learned of another nonprofit down in another part of the country that had adopted a thrift model, and it changed their whole organization and what they were able to do and their impact by having a thrift store. And so he came back with that idea, and it then kind of it started like a group started to kind of form to start forming this. And then of course COVID happened, and wah wah wah. But it wasn't God's timing. He just we now know that, and so when COVID started winding down last year, as far as the big things started to resume normalcy, Sal kind of started to ramp things up again. And again, I'd been on staff with Freedom 424 a few years, and kind of for me, it's very personal because, I'd go and do different fundraising events, like our races, which are great avenues to raise funds and engage with the community. But, you're there for a few hours, you close up shop, and, the fundraising didn't equal the amount that we really, wanted to raise. And so I was like, how can we, bring in greater sustainability? And so I was wrestling with this very personally of how can I, whether it's, be more effective or, I think God was really birthing this in my heart. And so it was very personal. And so when I heard that we were going to be, stepping into this, I raised my hand and said, I would love to lead this initiative. And Joy, who is our president of Freedom 424, and then Sal said, okay, well, and so I'm so grateful that they have entrusted it to me. It's not mine by any means, but I'm getting to lead the way. So we are launching a thrift store called Mission Thrift that has just opened here in the last couple weeks.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Tell us about Mission Thrift, everything we want to know.
Yeah, so Mission Thrift is, our tagline is, you give, what is it? I haven't said it in a while. I'm sorry. I've been in such donations mode and all of that. So you thrift, we give, communities thrive. So, that's kind of the simplicity of it. Our goal is to, of course, to take in donations, to flip them over, to make them into fuel for our nonprofits. And then because of the sustainability that comes in, our community can thrive in an even more effective way. But that's just the sustainability side. So obviously, it brings in resources, but, the environment that we desire to create, and we already see happening beautifully by God's grace, is community, from the volunteers that are helping to even just, we've only been open, yesterday was our 6th day, and just the community that's been coming in, it's been amazing. They're there to shop, but they interact with us, they stay, we really wanted to create an experience kind of like a little elevated. A lot of thrift stores are doing great, but it's like you get in, get out because it's just dirty or, it's not well organized or it's chaotic. So we really wanted to create an environment of almost of hospitality. And so that when people come in, they have a great dignified experience, that they know that there is a mission behind this, and that they feel loved and cared for. And one of our first, I knew I have a huge heart for hospitality. I think what you say and what you do only means so much, but how you make somebody feel is is huge. And so I knew that as leading the way in this, I wanted to create that environment for the store and for the people that came in. And so one of our first donations that somebody dropped off was a sign that said, love is spoken here. And so it was just a prophetic word, you know, and it's like, yes, we can create a loving environment in a thrift store. And so we have that framed, piece right over our checkout area. And it's really cool to seeing that playing out just from the different people that are, really like sharing their stories, like why they're shopping at a thrift store. Like, it's been really beautiful. And so we just, that's what we're about.
Now, I imagine a thrift store takes many hands to keep it running efficiently, to keep it clean, welcoming, hospitality.
Yeah.
So where are you finding those many hands to make this thing work?
Yeah, well, the beauty, I think, of having the two organizations, Freedom 424 and Sports Outreach, come together to launch this, is that, we had volunteers, we had community of people that were involved with both, and also our staff and our teams. And so we were able to kind of, use our family, both volunteer and staff to help us get this done. So we've had incredible support from, again, the volunteers, and then also the staff. We'll do like a shift a week, that kind of thing. So to have turned all these donations over. We started collecting donations in April, and so it was just a mountain that we had to sort through and get staged. And so the staff and volunteers have helped make that happen. So
wow. In addition to the many hands, obviously you're getting things too, and you've been collecting them since April. So it doesn't sound like that's an issue, right? You're having a pretty steady supply.
It's been amazing. Our community has been so generous in what they've brought us. Amazing, very nice things. And some of the things in the store you'll see. Like, not most of the things are super affordable, but we do have some things that are elevated because, again, we want to do more work that God's called us to do. And so if we can make a greater profitability on some of those like higher items, designer items, we have those kind of set aside. And so, the community has brought us some really great stuff, and that has not been a problem. Every day we're getting more and more donations that we, we sort through and then put them on the floor if they're items that we feel like would be great to sell.
How many volunteers you need per day?
Yeah.
What would be ideal?
The ideal, so we have a volunteer platform, and so I kind of, can put on there how many I'd like for each shift. And so right now we have like a 9 to 1 shift and then a 1 to 5 shift. And so ideal world, it would be 6 in each of those to really help us manage the donations well. And then that allows the staff to kind of, not have to be needed as heavily, and they can continue doing what they're doing in the other organizations.
So I'm going to speak to the Patrick Henry staff for just a second, and anybody else who's listening. But for all the Patrick Henry staff, that you're giving a certain number of hours to donate your time to a community organization like this. I think, wouldn't that be a great afternoon project or morning project? Even you as an individual or a team go down and work together.
Yeah, people can even sign up as a team, and so we've
wonderful.
had college students, coming, and that's been an incredible support to us. So I'm like, sorting clothes doesn't seem fun, because sometimes it's not clean. I'll leave it at that. And so, but doing it with 3 or 4 of your dorm mates or things like that, or as a people from your small group or whatever, it just makes it even more fun. And then, then what they do is like, okay, now I'm going to go shop now that my shift's over. And we give our volunteers a 15% discount at the end of their shift. So there is a little perk. And of course, we have like treats and coffee and all the things as well. But so it's really cool to just see that community as well being fostered, which is one of our goals and visions. We wouldn't be doing... It's one thing just to have a thrift store where we sell great things, but to foster a community of people, it's a beautiful thing to start.
Curious, do you have any material or visual aids to show the shoppers what their funds are going to?
Yeah, so we have a TV that we have displayed in the store, and that shows the missions of the organizations. And then also we want to highlight, it's not, the funds just don't go to Freedom 424 and Sports Outreach. Additionally, we'll be giving back to other Lynchburg nonprofits as well throughout the year. And so very collaborative and highly focused on our community. And so any community partners that have any announcements, we roll those through, that kind of thing. So we have the TV for those purposes. And we also have some stations where people can have their different resources, like services like Hope for Tomorrow can have their, pamphlets there. So people know that of the resources that are available in our community.
Great idea.
So we needed to know real basic stuff like where is it and when is it open? How about starting there?
Yeah, so we right now are open Wednesdays to Saturdays, 9 to 5. And that's our drop-off time and shop time as well. So, and then in the future we'll adjust if we, for now, that's our hours and it's fitting us well. And and we are located right off of Bedford Avenue in the old Food Lion shopping. It's now kind of like a shopping center. There's a Dollar General, and we're right next to that. So right near Golf Park Coffee on Bedford Ave.
Okay. So I heard a little rumor about something this month about roundups.
Yes. So again, we want to be community minded, and we have these amazing partnerships already established, and Vision 30 is a part of that, and actually has helped us even launch. So that's been an incredible blessing to us. And so for the month of December, we are our roundup feature. So when people check out, it says, "Would you like to round up?" And people that round up this month. Their efforts will be going towards the Vision 30 vision. And so helping, placements, foster care needs, those kinds of things, their funds will be going to that. So people, when they shop, they can choose their Roundup feature, and that will go towards Vision 30 mission.
I just love the collaboration and all this, the cooperation.
It's very cool.
Right? Already 2 organizations working together. Vision 30 jumped in on this and said, hey, we can help get you guys started, and now you guys turn around and blessing us back. This is a cool place to live.
Yeah.
We have a lot of great nonprofits, and we're all catching this vision of what can happen when we do things together.
Absolutely. And I think we have to fight against, a lot of our own mindsets, and just being open-handed of what God can do when we, how can we partner up? How can we just cheer, even if we're just cheering each other on? And so you guys have evidently done that with us, and so thank you. And so we're looking forward to more great support, and also supporting the great things that are happening in the community.
Do you have another question?
One
Yeah,
more
go
quick
ahead.
thing,
Yeah.
just a suggestion for those of you who participate in Care Portal. I like to talk about that, and we are the implementing partner. This may be your first place to go when you have needs to meet. If you somebody needs clothes, take them to Mission Thrift, because it's not just introducing them to, it's not just buying them clothes like you can do anywhere. It's introducing them to a community or resource that they might be able to use again. And if love's spoken there, that's what we want the experience to be. So instead of going to Target, where I'm not sure what's spoken there, but love doesn't seem to be the word that. Anyway, sorry, that was inappropriate. But you know what I'm saying. Like, why not introduce them to you guys as you're helping meet a Care Portal request? That's one of my plans for the next few weeks, is we're shopping for Care Portal needs. Why not bring people in and let them shop for the things that they need, instead of us picking them out for them or whatever. And I hear you have not just clothes, there's furniture.
Yeah, and you're going to get more bang for your buck when you come shop with us. So, yes, we have clothes, shoes, a small section of furniture, housewares, decor. We have awesome decor. We have toys. So it's so fun to see families coming in and shop, and then their kids are going back in the toy area. We have some pet things.
Books.
Small
Please tell me you
electronics.
have books.
Oh, we have books. And a lot of our books are anywhere from $1 to $5. So it's awesome. Great books.
All right. That's the best place to find books, people.
Yes. Oh,
for
and
stores.
Christmas decorations. We've got lots of great Christmas decor right now, too.
Wow. This has been pretty cool. Thank you so much, Faith.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for hosting me and for doing what you do, and the impact you guys are making in the community.
Well, you keep raising your hand to step into spaces, and you straight kind of walked into Freedom 424, and now look where it's Legion. You stepped and raised your hand and said, "I'll do the thrift store thing." Wow.
Well,
What you going to keep raising your hand for more
Well,
stuff?
and whatever God has for me, I have to be careful to say that. But I think I'm fortunate. I'm exhausted. This is a huge project,
I bet you
but
are.
I'm blessed. I think, like you guys would say, to get to be able to help in some way, and the incredible things that are happening and what God's doing. And so to get to be a part of that is a blessing.
Okay. So tell the folks your website,
Yeah.
which will pop up as well.
Yeah.
How can people contact you guys?
Yeah, so themissionthrift.org is our website, and you can find out, different logistics, a lot of what we've already covered. But the number one thing I would love for people to do is volunteer with us, because then you get a great feel for our culture. And I mean, even, it just helps us to be more sustainable, helps us create that community. So that would be a great opportunity. Like you said, a lot of companies allow their employees to give so many hours in volunteering. So we've already had some of that. So I would love to meet more of our community and welcome them in by, them volunteering. So that's a huge need we have. So sign up through our website and just come out and shop and support us. We'd love to meet you guys.
Yeah. So you heard it here. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for you to get involved in the community in a practical way. We all have stuff that we need to get rid of, and sometimes it's
Good stuff.
No,
Bring us
yes,
your
great.
good
We
stuff.
got good stuff.
Yes.
Don't take that other stuff to the other thrift stores. Bring the good stuff to this thrift store, and then while you're there, sign up to volunteer and round up whatever you're doing, because you know it's going to help a nonprofit.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
guys,
Faith.
for having me.
Claudia, always a pleasure to be with you on Community Connection.
Yes,
you know
it is a
I love
pleasure
you.
for
You
you.
know I love you, don't you? All right. Hey, love you guys too. We'll see you next week.
Nobody gets to choose their family. If a person is fortunate enough to be born into a healthy family, then life can be much like floating down a smooth, gentle river in the summertime. But an unhealthy family is like a dangerous river, filled with rocks, debris, and fast-moving water. This river swiftly leads to the steep waterfall of adulthood, tragically forming a new river of dysfunction. Even if you aren't born into an unhealthy river, there are many streams that cause a person to get there. But there is only one way to get out, and that is through a meaningful relationship. Across our region, there are many agencies, churches, and families who are devoted to helping children escape from unhealthy rivers. Some feel their role is to wade in and rescue children. They foster, adopt, or provide safe families. Others stand by the river and support the rescuers by providing what they need. Still, others are upstream and stand in the gap to keep children from ending up in the negative situations. At Patrick Henry Family Services, we see ourselves as having an additional role. We are running up and down the shores of the unhealthy river, screaming, "Can't you see the children in the water? You have to do something." Vision 30 is a 10-year initiative. By 2030, we envision a region where all children are safe in their own family, or with caregivers who are supported by a local faith community. So, where do you stand at the river? Are you upstream, keeping families together and strong by standing in the gap? Are you in the river, directly impacting children? Are you on the shore, providing support for the brave folks who have entered the river? Or are you just passing by without noticing? No matter who you are, come down to the river with us. Let us help you find your place. Not only will lives be changed, but you will never be the same.